You can still create beautiful paintings without using expensive brushes or equipment. Today we're going to paint these colourful impressionist style lupines using only our fingers. First I'm rubbing in some white paint diagonally across the middle of the canvas. Then I have some Naples yellow and white, and I'm just going to rub that in a few places to give a little bit of a warm glow. I'm cleaning my fingers regularly on some paper towel or cloth, just to keep the colours nice and clean and stop them from going muddy. Then I've got a little Payne's Grey. You can add some water to your fingers as well if the paint ever gets too thick. I've got my permanent rose, I'm rubbing that in and blending it together, taking some more titanium white just to soften it around the edges. A little more Payne's Grey, maybe some nice ultramarine to give a more bluey purple in places, and then I'm just rubbing that in and working it into the canvas to get a really nice coverage. I've done the same in the top left hand corner, again mixing it with the white to soften it out at the edges. And on the bottom left corner I'm going to do the same colours, this time probably adding a little more Payne's Grey just to make it a little darker. You could of course use a brush for this if you do find that easier. I think it's quite fun using your fingers and you can just rub it in and get a really nice effect. Now to start on our lupine flowers. So I've got my dark colours, my Payne's Grey, a little ultramarine, and I'm just going to use the side of my fingers to mark out where the stem of the lupines are going to be. Doesn't need to be too heavy, just a rough line, putting a few curves in to make it a little more interesting, and this will just act as a guide when we come to start painting in the flower petals. Then with my little finger I've got white, some Naples yellow, and I'm going to start putting on a few dots right at the top of the lupine flower. So we'll put a nice point at the top, and then as I'm moving down, just putting a few more dots to make it a little wider as we move down the flower. Then I'm going to start coming in with my permanent rose and rose pink. And we'll start adding a few more petals as we come downwards. It's quite nice not to mix the colours too much, just dab your finger in each colour and then you get some really nice effects on the canvas where the colours all merge and mix together. I've brought in a little quinacridone magenta just for that very dark reddy pink colour at the bottom. And at this point I'm just trying to get a general shape of the flowers. We'll come in again later and add a few more details and build it up a little more. And have some fun with it, just don't think about it too much. Let all of your colours blur and blend together. You'll probably have a few happy accidents of some parts that you'll want to keep. Any you don't like, don't worry about it, because when it dries we can come over the top and add a few more to hide anything that you don't like. As I'm moving down the flower I'm switching to a bigger finger to get bigger petals, and you can even add in a few little flicks here and there just to make it a little more dynamic and impressionistic. I'm coming in with a few darker shadow areas, so for that I've got my Payne's Grey and a little ultramarine, just dabbing them on around the bottom to try and create a little bit of depth now. And we can also come in with some highlights. So I've got my white and light pink, and we'll start putting those highlights in on the right hand side of the flowers. You can also add some more pink petals and just slowly build up the shape until you get something that you're happy with. Now to make a bit of a green colour, we'll add in our leaves. So I've got my ultramarine, some Naples yellow, I've also got my darker colour, my Payne's grey and ultramarine, and I'm going to use these two colours to build up some leaf shapes at the bottom. So they're going to be quite thin with a little bit of a curve in them, so I'm using my little finger again. I'm not worried about any detail because we want that very loose, colourful, impressionist feeling. So just sweep them round, add in some darker ones and some lighter ones, and keep building it up until you're happy with it. This way of painting really does stop you from fiddling too much with details, and it's often just quite a fun way to create a painting. Few little highlights. So I've got my white and light pink, and I'm using the side of my finger just to do some little dots along some of the leaves to add a few little highlights. At this point you can come back in, look at the picture as a whole, and just add a few little flicks of colour here and there, change any parts you need to. And I decided that I needed to make the leaves at the bottom just a little more green, so I've got a little bit of Hooker's green, I've got my yellow again, and I'm just going to put a few little swipes of green on the leaves to bring out that colour a little more. Thanks for painting with me today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please hit the like button for me, and I'll see you next time.